Hello everyone. Today in this video we will discuss the importance of banquet scene in Macbeth. As we all know, Macbeth is a tragedy written by William Shakespeare. As far as banquet scene is concerned, Act 3 Scene 4 is known as banquet scene. The banquet scene in Macbeth is one of the most moving scenes. It is tremendous in its dramatic impact and intensity. This scene is simultaneously the high point of Macbeth's reign and the beginning of his downfall. It records Macbeth's guilty conscience taking the most horrible form in the shape of Banquo's ghost. Macbeth's bizarre behavior puzzles and disturbs his subjects, confirming their impression that he is mentally troubled. It also shows Macbeth's gradual overcoming anxiety. In this Act 3, Scene 4, Lady Macbeth handles Macbeth crying at banquet hall. In this scene, Macbeth and Lady Macbeth are celebrating a royal banquet at their fort to celebrate Macbeth's coronation of becoming the new king of Scotland. All the important officers and noblemen are present. At the reception hall, Macbeth and Lady Macbeth welcome their guests heartily and have them seated according to the post. Lady Macbeth commands the room with dignity as she sits on her royal throne. Macbeth too plays the charming host as he mixes with the visitor. In the hall, Macbeth is constantly waiting for the two murderers he had hired to kill Banquo along with his son, Fleance. Macbeth notices that the murderers are waiting at the door to tell him. Macbeth pulls them aside to know whether they have succeeded in their deadly plan of murdering Banquo with his son or not. Now, the first murderer discloses to Macbeth that they have killed Banquo brutally. They told Macbeth how they have inflicted many deadly wounds on his body. After that, he tells a bad news that Banquo's son managed to escape due to darkness. On hearing this news, Macbeth is greatly disturbed as Fleance's escaping confirms the witch's prophecy that Banquo's successor would be the king in future. Macbeth dismisses the murderers. He readies himself and returns to attend to the guests. When he goes to sit in his royal seat, Macbeth is deeply surprised to see the ghost of the Banquo sitting at his chair. Although no one else can see it, guilt-feeling Macbeth reflects the image of Banquo staring at him in very dangerous manner. Returning to the table, Macbeth is confronted by Banquo's ghost, invisible to all but Macbeth. On seeing the ghost of Banquo, Macbeth loses his control and starts crying madly at the image of Banquo and run away. The guests are surprised at this conduct. However, Lady Macbeth tries to handle the situation by saying that her husband is haunted by the harmless fear since childhood. She advises the guest to carefully ignore his madness. Macbeth is crying and became delirious after seeing the ghost of Banquo in the banquet hall. Macbeth gains his senses slowly, but the ghost of Banquo reappears. This image is felt by Macbeth emotionally, and he again starts crying at the ghost, fearing Macbeth's eccentric actions might disclose their sinful secrets. Lady Macbeth declares the end of the reception party and sends the guest away. Macbeth's hallucination in public, occurring in front of his guest, amplifies his agony. His inability to maintain his composure shows that his mind is unraveling under the weight of his crimes. Macbeth's reaction, addressing the ghost directly, reveals his inner turmoil and growing instability. He is no longer able to separate his internal fears from external reality, a clear indication that he is losing control. His fear and suspicion is further fueled by the witch's prophecies, which continue to dominate his thoughts and drive his actions, leading him to a point of no return. The reappearance of the ghost of Banquo in the banquet party. All the guest has gone. Lady Macbeth and Macbeth is left at hall. Lady Macbeth scolds him for nearly disclosing the secret. Macbeth is affected by psychological fear and is seeking to visit the witches again to eradicate the risk against his kingship. The ghost of Banquo staring at Macbeth dangerously in the banquet hall. Lady Macbeth, who once appeared strong and ruthless, now finds herself in a desperate situation as she tries to contain the fallout from Macbeth's public breakdown. At the start of the play, she was the driving force behind Macbeth's ascent to power, chastising him for his hesitation and urging him to act with determination. However, in the banquet scene, her demeanor has shifted. She is no longer the confident manipulator, but a woman desperately trying to salvage the situation. Her initial reaction to Macbeth's outburst is to downplay it, explaining it away as a momentary lapse, something that has plagued him since childhood. This lie is an attempt to reassure the guests and prevent them from suspecting anything amiss. Her quick thinking shows that she still possesses some of her former cunning, but her efforts are strained as she has no real control over Macbeth's spiraling psyche. In this banquet scene, Lady Macbeth is attempting to pull Macbeth back to reality, to restart her influence over him, but it is clear that she is losing her grip. The scene highlights her increasing helplessness as she realizes that she cannot control Macbeth's descent into madness, nor can she shield him from the consequences of their actions. Both Macbeth and Lady Macbeth are now fully ensnared in the witch's prophecies, while Lady Macbeth initially dismissed the supernatural as mere fable, but Macbeth has become obsessed with their predictions. His encounter with Banquo's ghost, whom he killed to prevent the prophecy from coming true, ironically confirms his belief in the inevitability of witches' words. Lady Macbeth, on the other hand, is increasingly sidelined as her influence wanes in the face of Macbeth's growing fear and fixation on the prophecies. This scene marks a turning point where both Macbeth and Lady Macbeth are no longer partners in ambition but are instead trapped in a cycle of fear, guilt, and madness, driven by the dark predictions that they once sought to control. The banquet scene delineates the psychological unraveling of both characters, with Macbeth's trauma and Lady Macbeth's desperate attempts to save him, ultimately leading them further into their tragic downfall. So this is all about this video about banquet scene. Thank you very much for enjoying this video.